It's no secret that Hollywood has given us some of the most unforgettable stars in history, icons whose charm, talent, and beauty defined an entire generation. But what if we told you that some of these beloved Hollywood legends, the ones who lit up the silver screen and captured the world's heart, lived with a truth they couldn't share back then? In a time when being different could cost you everything, these stars had to keep a part of themselves hidden from the spotlight. In this video, we're diving deep into the untold lives of 15 Hollywood legends you probably didn't know were gay, and the shocking secrets Hollywood worked hard to erase. Number 15. Rock Hudson. America's ultimate leading man harbored a secret that would have shattered his career instantly. While women across the country fantasized about Rock Hudson, the star of romantic comedies with Doris Day lived a dangerous double life that studio executives were desperate to hide at all costs. Behind the scenes, Hudson was trapped in a web of deception so elaborate, it included a sham marriage orchestrated by his agent. The pressure was relentless. One slip could destroy everything. Hudson's facade finally crumbled in the most devastating way possible. As he lay dying from AIDS in 1985, the world finally learned the truth he'd been forced to hide for decades. The shocking revelation sent shockwaves through America. The ultimate male sex symbol. Gay? It was unthinkable to his millions of female fans. More heartbreaking still, Hudson had faced his terminal illness alone, unable to acknowledge his long-term partner until the very end. His death wasn't just a personal tragedy. It exposed the cruel machinery that had forced him to live a lie. Number 14. Montgomery Clift. His intensity captivated audiences, but no one realized the agonizing truth. Montgomery Clift's tortured performances weren't just acting, they were real. While studios marketed him as a brooding heartthrob, Clift was drowning in secrets that would have destroyed him if revealed. The devastating reality. Clift's self-destructive spiral wasn't just from his infamous car accident. It stemmed from the crushing pressure of hiding his true self year after year. Even his closest friend, Elizabeth Taylor, couldn't protect him from the demons that haunted him. His brother would later confirm what Hollywood had desperately kept hidden. The man who made millions of women swoon had never been interested in them at all. What the public never saw were the nights Clift spent in agonizing isolation, turning to alcohol and pills to numb the pain of living a lie. His early death at just 45 wasn't just a Hollywood tragedy. It was the final chapter in a life spent in the shadows, never allowed to be who he really was. Would America's beloved star still be alive if he'd been allowed to live authentically? Number 13. Cary Grant. The most sophisticated, charming man in Hollywood history, the star millions of women dreamed of marrying, was living a secret that would have destroyed his legendary status overnight. While Cary Grant romanced leading ladies on screen, off-screen he was sharing bachelor hall with another man for over a decade. The bombshell truth: Grant's 5 marriages to women were carefully calculated distractions from his relationship with fellow actor Randolph Scott. Fan magazines published shockingly intimate photos of the two men in domestic bliss, cooking together, lounging by the pool in matching robes, even reading in bed. Yet the studio system's iron grip kept the public from seeing what was right before their eyes. Most devastating of all, while Grant took his secrets to the grave, repeatedly denying the truth, Scott reportedly admitted their relationship to close friends. The man whose name became synonymous with debonair charm and heterosexual romance never felt safe enough to acknowledge who he really was, even decades after his stardom faded. Hollywood didn't just want his talent, it demanded his identity as payment. Number 12. James Dean. His brooding intensity made him the ultimate symbol of youthful rebellion, but James Dean was hiding a truth far more rebellious than his on-screen persona. While marketed as the bad boy every girl wanted to tame, Dean was secretly defying Hollywood's strictest taboo behind closed doors. The shocking truth: Dean's mysterious comment about not going through life with one hand tied behind his back wasn't just teenage rebellion. It was a veiled reference to his refusal to limit himself sexually in an era when such freedom was unthinkable. His relationships with both men and women would have scandalized the public and instantly destroyed his rising career. Dean's sudden, tragic death at just 24 forever froze him in time as a cultural icon of rebellion. But the true nature of his most profound rebellion against society's rules remained hidden for decades. Would America's love affair with the troubled star have survived if they'd known what Hollywood executives were desperate to conceal? Number 11. Tallulah Bankhead. While other stars cowered in fear, one woman dared to live dangerously close to the edge. Tallulah Bankhead's provocative proclamation, "I'm a lesbian, what do you want me to do? Wear a sign," sent studio executives into panic mode, but she refused to be silenced like her peers. The jaw-dropping reality, Bankhead's affairs with Hollywood's most glamorous women, including Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich, were conducted with a brazenness that terrified the studio system. While other stars carefully hid their true selves, Bankhead flaunted conventions with a defiance that made her both admired and feared within the industry. What saved her from being blacklisted entirely? Her theatrical background and larger-than-life personality created just enough plausible deniability for studios to market her as merely eccentric, rather than admit the truth about her sexuality. Her brief marriage provided thin cover for a woman who refused to pretend she was something she wasn't, making her a rare exception in an era of enforced lies. Number 10. Tab Hunter. With his blonde hair, blue eyes, and wholesome smile, Tab Hunter was sold to teenage girls across America as the ultimate dream boyfriend. His bedroom walls stared down from thousands of teenage girls' bedroom walls. If only they'd known the crushing truth behind his perfect image. The heartbreaking reality. At the height of Hunter's fame, while young women lined up to catch a glimpse of him, he was secretly in a relationship with another male heartthrob, Anthony Perkins. The studio's response to rumors, arranging fake dates with actresses like Natalie Wood, forced both young stars to pretend a chemistry that neither felt. Hunter's career imploded when Confidential magazine came dangerously close to exposing him, revealing his arrest at what they called a limp-wristed pajama party. Decades later, Hunter finally revealed in his memoir the elaborate web of lies and forced public appearances that had imprisoned him at the height of his fame. The all-American boy next door had been one of Hollywood's cruelest deceptions. Number 9. Anthony Perkins. His portrayal of Norman Bates in Psycho terrified audiences, but Anthony Perkins was living a real-life horror story far more disturbing than any Hitchcock film. While he chilled audiences as the disturbed motel owner with mother issues, Perkins was hiding secrets that would have destroyed his career instantly. The devastating truth, Perkins was so terrorized by his sexuality that he subjected himself to conversion therapy in a desperate attempt to change who he was. The psychological torture he endured in these sessions rivaled anything in his horror films, all because Hollywood had convinced him his true self was unacceptable. Most heartbreaking of all, when Perkins was diagnosed with AIDS, he kept his illness secret until days before his death, terrified that even in the 1990s, the truth would destroy everything he'd built. His wife later revealed he had hidden his diagnosis from the public, a final act of the secrecy that had defined his entire life. The man who became famous for playing a character with deadly secrets took his own to the grave. Number 8. Cesar Romero. As Batman's cackling nemesis, the Joker, Cesar Romero hid behind white makeup and a painted-on smile. Off-screen, his masquerade was even more elaborate, a lifetime of pretending to be someone he wasn't while hiding in plain sight within Hollywood's most exclusive circles. The shocking truth, Romero frequently escorted Hollywood's most glamorous actresses to high-profile events, not as their lover, but as their beard. These carefully orchestrated appearances allowed both parties to hide their true sexuality from a public that would have rejected them instantly if they'd known the truth. What makes Romero's story particularly poignant? Unlike stars who created elaborate fake backstories, Romero simply deflected personal questions with charming jokes about valuing his freedom too much for marriage. He never publicly acknowledged his sexuality during his lifetime, carrying his secrets until his death at 86, a lifetime sentence of hiding who he truly was. Number 7. Vincent Price. His chilling voice terrified generations in horror classics, but Vincent Price harbored secrets far more complex than any of his gothic tales. While audiences were captivated by his villainous characters, they never suspected the truth about the sophisticated art collector behind the frightening roles. The unexpected truth, Price's 3 marriages to women, concealed a fluid sexuality that didn't fit into Hollywood's rigid categories. His daughter confirmed after his death what many had long suspected, that Price's romantic interests weren't limited by gender, a reality he could never safely acknowledge during his long career. Most fascinating of all, Price's third wife was herself bisexual, suggesting they may have had an understanding that allowed both to be more authentic in private than they could ever be in public. His horror film persona may have protected him from scrutiny, as if playing monsters on screen diverted attention from the parts of himself society would have considered monstrous in that unforgiving era. Number 6. Patsy Kelly. In an era when silence was survival, one actress made history by doing the unthinkable, being honest. While her more glamorous peers constructed elaborate lies, comedienne Patsy Kelly shocked Hollywood by openly acknowledging her lesbian identity during the repressive 1930s. The remarkable truth, Kelly not only lived openly with actress Wilma Cox, but boldly declared she would never marry. In an industry built on manufactured heterosexual images, such honesty was practically suicidal for a career, making her openness all the more extraordinary. What protected Kelly from the fate that befell stars who were exposed against their will? Her brash, working-class screen persona created just enough distance from Hollywood's romantic ideal that she could survive with a level of authenticity denied to leading men and women. Her career suffered nevertheless, a stark reminder of the price paid for even limited honesty in an era of enforced lies. Number 5. Greta Garbo. Her famous line, "I want to be alone," became a Hollywood legend, but few understood the heartbreaking truth behind Garbo's desire for privacy. The Swedish Sphinx, who captivated audiences with her mysterious allure, was hiding far more than just a desire for solitude. The shocking reality, Garbo's letters to female lovers, particularly writer Mercedes de Acosta, reveal passionate relationships the public never knew existed. Her early retirement at just 35 and subsequent decades of reclusiveness wasn't merely the actions of a star tired of fame. They represented a retreat from a world where she could never freely be herself. Most poignant of all, Garbo's famous desire to be alone takes on an entirely new meaning when understood as the lament of a woman who could only express her true self away from the public eye. Her 5 decades of post-fame seclusion weren't just eccentric. They were the only way she could escape the suffocating lies demanded by her career. Number 4. Marlene Dietrich. Her tuxedo-clad performance in Morocco scandalized audiences, but they had no idea how much of her real self was hidden in plain sight on screen. While other stars carefully separated their public and private selves, Marlene Dietrich daringly allowed glimpses of her true nature to appear in her performances. The explosive truth, Dietrich's relationships with women, including actresses Claudette Colbert and Mercedes de Acosta, were conducted with a boldness that terrified studio executives. Her marriage provided thin cover for a woman who refused to limit herself to Hollywood's narrow definitions of sexuality and gender. What made Dietrich's rebellion possible when others couldn't risk it? Her exotic European background created just enough distance for American audiences to view her gender-bending performances as intriguingly foreign rather than threatening. Yet even this boundary-pushing star couldn't be fully honest about who she was, a testament to Hollywood's iron grip on its stars' identities. Number 3. Raymond Burr. As TV's most famous attorney, Perry Mason, Raymond Burr stood for truth and justice. Off-screen, he was living one of Hollywood's most elaborate deceptions, a web of lies so complex it took researchers years after his death to unravel the full truth. The jaw-dropping reality, Burr fabricated not 1 but 3 marriages to women who never existed, including a wife supposedly killed in the same plane crash that took actor Leslie Howard's life. Most heartbreaking of all, he invented a son who had died of leukemia, a fictional tragedy designed to generate sympathy and deflect questions about his personal life. The truth Burr desperately concealed? For over 35 years, he lived with his partner Robert Benavides, in a relationship he could never acknowledge publicly without destroying his career. While solving fictional crimes on television, Burr was engaged in an elaborate real-life cover-up of his own, one that succeeded in protecting his secret until after his death. Number 2. Rudolph Valentino. His smoldering gaze made women faint in theater aisles, but Rudolph Valentino, Hollywood's first great sex symbol, was hiding questions about his sexuality that drove him to desperate measures to protect his masculine image. The great lover of the silver screen was living a contradiction that tormented him until his early death. The shocking contradiction: while women swooned over Valentino, male critics viciously attacked his masculinity. One infamous editorial dubbing him a pink powder puff. These attacks so wounded Valentino that he challenged the writer to a boxing match to prove his manhood, a desperate attempt to counter rumors that threatened to destroy him. His two bizarre marriages, first to a lesbian actress who locked him out of their hotel room on their wedding night, then to a designer who controlled every aspect of his career, raised questions that have never been fully answered. His sudden death at 31 sparked unprecedented public mourning, but also permanently sealed the mysteries surrounding Hollywood's first sex symbol. Number 1. Barbara Stanwyck. Her tough-talking screen characters reflected something of her resilient personality, but Barbara Stanwyck was hiding truths about herself that would have shocked her fans. Behind her strong performances lay a woman guarding secrets with an iron determination that matched any of her film roles. The hidden truth: while married twice to men in unhappy unions that both ended in divorce, Stanwyck was rumored to have had relationships with women throughout her career, including her publicist Helen Ferguson and actress Patsy Kelly. Her intense privacy wasn't just star temperament, it was self-preservation. Most telling of all, unlike stars who felt compelled to create elaborate false histories, Stanwyck simply refused to discuss her personal life at all, a silence that protected her for her entire career. When biographical works were published during her lifetime, these rumors were conspicuously absent, a final act of the careful image management that had defined her life in Hollywood. These were more than just stars, they were survivors, forced to hide who they were just to keep their place in the spotlight. Their truth was buried by an industry obsessed with image. But today, that silence ends. If their stories moved you, don't let them fade into the background. Hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more untold stories that deserve to be heard. Because behind every perfect Hollywood smile, there's a truth waiting to be uncovered. Who's the next legend hiding a secret? Stick around, what we reveal next will shock you.